And with Israel's attacks late last night against the nuclear program of Iran, U.S. officials rushed in to clarify that they were not involved. Almost immediately, there were concerns about retaliation. And we want to go live to Scripps News national correspondent Nate Reed. And Nate, what is the latest on these strikes? Who or what was targeted and how are people responding?
Well, the Iran nuclear program was targeted as part of these strikes. Additionally, they striked places deep inside Iran, reportedly the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence service, transporting actual assets inside the country to try and lay some of these charges in place.
In recent
Two
months,
senior members of the
Iran
Iranian military were killed as part of this attack. So a lot of questions about how they were able to get that done. Additionally, President Trump posting on Truth Social this morning, 2 months ago, he gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to, quote, make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. Again, the U.S. reportedly is not involved in this. Questions about whether the U.S. at least had an advance heads up or warning. President Trump also warning on Truth Social in a separate post this morning that the next already planned attacks will be even more brutal. Iran must make a deal before there is, quote, nothing left. The Israeli Prime Minister responding to this attack yesterday in a taped message, saying that they had no choice out of concern that Iran was developing a nuclear weapon to strike Israel. Take a listen.
In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot have a nuclear enrichment program.
And as you noted off the top, the big question now, whether Iran will respond. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, making clear that he plans to respond to this. Not yet clear what that's going to look like. Much of Israel locked down today out of concerns about retaliation.
All right. And Nate, the House of Representatives voted to cut over $9 billion of already approved funding. Those cuts being in areas like international aid, international development, healthcare, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And even though some GOP members voiced concern and changed their votes, the bill is headed to the Senate. Are Republicans optimistic about its changes, and how involved was President Trump?
Yeah, this was approved by an exceptionally narrow margin yesterday, just 214 votes to 212 votes in the House of Representatives. The reason that this even passed, several Republican members, moderate Republican members, who were on the fence about whether to support these cuts, ultimately deciding to support them. Huge victory. You cannot overstate how big a victory this is for President Trump and how Speaker Mike Johnson, the Speaker, frequently says he's got the slimmest Republican majority in American history. He was able to get this across the finish line. The question now, of course, in the Senate, whether they will have the votes. Democrats are not able to filibuster this one, meaning Republicans can pass this with no Democratic votes. Again, questions about the moderate Republicans like Senator Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, whether they would be willing to support that $9 billion in cuts.